Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining. So as you can see, we're going to discuss some instantaneous water heaters and the application and this installation of them. So first of all, my name is Neil. I'll introduce myself. So I'm the technical trainer at Stiebel Eltron, Southern Africa. Not sure if all of you have heard of Stiebel Eltron, but we're a global company based in Germany. And yeah, we've been in the market for quite some time. So I'll just start briefly with a bit of history from the company side. Sorry, now it's not working. There we go. Okay. So company was founded in 1924 by Dr. Theodore Stiebel. So as you can see, we are almost 100 years old. In 1949, we started with our first hydraulic instantaneous water heaters. So as you can see, that's also 70 years plus in the market that we've been busy with instantaneous water heaters. Then if we skip forward to 1987, Stiebel Eltron got a partner in South Africa, so also more than 30 years. And also in that same year, Stiebel Eltron launched the electronic instantaneous water heaters. So you'd see in 49, sorry, this thing is on autoplay. You will see in 1949, it was hydraulic instantaneous water heater, and then we went to electronic instant water heaters in 87. So on our side, we opened our offices in 2018 here in South Africa. We took over from the partner. So it's a subsidiary itself of the company that's now in the country. So Karim, if you can just also pull up the poll, please. So first of all, just to make sure that everybody is here and listening and not sleeping, I'd just like to ask this question before. And so is an instantaneous water heater a point of use geyser, a boiler, or none of the above?
Okay, perfect. I'll quickly just give the audience a few seconds to vote, and once the majority have voted, I'll go ahead and display the results. I would also just like to mention that these polls are completely anonymous, so we cannot see who answered what. Okay, just a few more seconds. Okay, perfect. I'm going to go ahead and close the poll now and display the results. Okay, there we go, Neil.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Karim. Okay, so I see on the polls we had 68%, 60%, sorry, I don't have my glasses on, 66% point of use geyser, 18% boiler, and 16% none of the above. So yeah, it's quite interesting. That's why I asked this poll beforehand. So hopefully as the slides go on and my presentation goes on, you'll learn a bit more of how it works, what it is, and hopefully we can change that status of the poll at the end of the presentation. So I would just like to next let Karim play you a video of how an instantaneous water heater works, and then afterwards it's also going to be a video of how to use or where to use an instant water heater.
Hello, this is our Academy in Holzminden. This is where we teach about innovative building technology from Stiebel Eltron. Today we will explain what the name Instantaneous Water Heater is all about, and why our appliances have been offering such great convenience for decades. In an instantaneous water heater, the water passes directly through the heating element at the point of use. In contrast to other types of water heater, instantaneous water heaters offer the comfort of instant hot water without storing it. They only produce it when necessary, and that is what makes them so energy efficient. As soon as you turn on the tap, water flows through the so-called bare wire heating element. The water is heated instantly due to the direct contact with the heating wire. The properties of water are not the same everywhere. In regions with very high conductivity, a tubular heater is more suitable. There is no direct contact between the heating wire and the water. Since instantaneous water heaters are based on the principle of heating water to the required temperature very quickly, these appliances need a lot of power for a short period of time. This is logical. And explains why, when they have to produce large amounts of water, supply several draw-off points, or reach very high water temperatures, they run on 400 volts. Here, three-phase power is absolutely necessary. For small amounts and lesser temperature increases, 230-volt appliances and a single-phase power connection are sufficient. For an installation with several draw-off points, we need an appliance suitable for mains pressure. Non-pressurized water heaters, on the other hand, are suitable for a single draw-off point. It's important to select the right kind of tap for the two different systems. So that was quite a lot of technical information. Our main aim, of course, is always to offer the best and most convenient hot water supply. A water temperature as constant as possible, for example, in the shower. To guide you through our wide product range, we have divided our hot water solutions into 4 comfort levels: hydraulic, 2i, 3i, and 4i. Basically, the higher the number before the I, the more stable the outlet water temperature. Electronically controlled instantaneous water heaters with 2i technology measure the inlet temperature and flow rate. The electronics then determine the output of the heating element. 3i technology also measures the outlet temperature, which allows the power to be adjusted as required. 4i technology additionally regulates the water volume automatically. A motorized valve adjusts the flow rate when the maximum output of the appliance has been reached. This way, the fully electronic instantaneous water heater maintains exactly the right temperature and offers maximum comfort. No more cold shocks in the shower. Join us again at Stiebel Eltron. There's lots to see and lots to learn, and plenty of room for good ideas. Stiebel Eltron. Hello, this is our academy in Holzminden. This is where we teach about innovative building technology from Stiebel Eltron. Why short pipe runs have been making our instantaneous water heaters so convenient and successful for decades is our theme for today. Transporting hot water has always been tricky, whether from the kitchen to the bathtub, to the wash basin, or, as is often still the case today, from the basement up to the top floor. Yet it's really quite simple to prevent all these cylinder, circulation, distribution and startup losses, no matter whether you live in a detached house or an apartment building. At Stiebel Eltron, we were the first to realize as long ago as the 1920s that it's more efficient to produce hot water exactly where it's needed. Convenient, unlimited, and available immediately. With this in mind, we've never stopped improving our instantaneous water heaters. They offer high energy efficiency, as all the electricity used is converted into hot water. Low water loss, thanks to decentralized installation directly at the point of use. Exactly the right temperature, so there's no need to mix in cold water at the wash basin. Our latest generation of heaters are smart enough to be controlled via app too. In contrast to systems that store hot water, with an instantaneous water heater you won't run out of hot water, even if you take your time in the shower. The fact that our instantaneous water heaters not only heat up your water but also brighten your day with a little music just goes to show that we've never been lacking in imagination when it comes to product development. Join us again at Stiebel Eltron. There is lots to see and lots to learn and plenty of room for good ideas. Stiebel Eltron. Stiebel Eltron.
Perfect. Thank you, Karim. I hope, sorry, just want to show my screen. So I hope the videos were quite informative. I do apologize for some of the images. It's an older video with the foam and the guy dancing in the shower and taking long showers. So hopefully nobody laughed too much on that. So yes, I hope that the videos were quite clear. I'm also going to elaborate on the things that were in that video. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, smaller details of it, I would just also like to run just one last poll, just to make sure that everybody didn't fall asleep in this case. So on this one, what do you think when it comes to the installation of one of these instant water heaters? Does it need to be done according to SANS 151? So if you can just please answer this, I'll just hand over to Karim to please just put up the poll for you guys to vote.
Thank you, Neil. The poll is up. I'll just give the audience a few seconds to vote, and once the majority have voted, I'll display the results.
Perfect. Thanks, Karim. Sorry, I didn't see they're already voting.
Okay, I see the majority have voted. I'm going to go ahead and close the poll now. There we go.
Perfect. Thank you, Karim. Okay, so results are that 83% think yes, you need SANS 151 and 17% thinks no. So the idea behind this webinar is to be able to show you that 83% of you are going to be slightly surprised. So let's continue then. So what is an instantaneous water heater? So as of the first poll, first of all, is an instantaneous water heater a point of use geyser? And the answer is no. The reason for this is, and also why it is important for you as a plumber, is when we get to, let's say, the safety of the system. So when it comes to safety, you will realize that the instantaneous hot or instantaneous water heater has no storage. So there's no storage, so no SANS 151 is required for the installation. So this might alleviate a few things, but on the safety side, let's run through a few of the points. So there is no storage. So that means there will be no TP valve required for the system. There's no special or vented mixer required for it. There is no relief valve, in other words, a dripping valve required for it. And especially as it has no storage, there's no drip tray that you would need for it. And also being as German as it is, it has been tested and rated to 10 bar or 1000 kPa of pressure. So that's quite, I think, a handful of advantages in the first hand that you might have with it. And also, as with the point of, is it a boiler? It cannot boil the water. It can only heat the water to 60 degrees Celsius max. And being a small unit, as it is, it's also rated for at IP25, which means it can be stored inside a bathroom. Obviously following all regulations on the electrical side as well, with isolators that are in fact also capable of IP25. They can be installed into a bathroom as well. So then the big question always comes up. Before I forget, that's why I have slides, is an instantaneous water heater is not, as you see, tested according to SANS 151, but it's according to SANS IEC 60335-235. So that is a standard for the instantaneous water heaters, and for which we have LOAs from the NRCS for these products. So you can feel free to install them and use them as necessary. Then, what about reliability? So, having no storage, there's no need for an anode, as there is no water being standing, so there's no chance of the reservoir or the cylinder in that instance being rusted. There is minimum or no chance of calcium buildup because of the fact that it has no storage. The water is being pushed through as it is being heated, so there's no chance of where you'd normally have your calcium buildup around the element, things like that. It is not possible in this case, or very slightly in case of hard water conditions, for actually to have calcium buildup in the system. Because there's no anode, there is virtually no maintenance on these units. We say virtually because you cannot say it's maintenance free, because you always get somebody who does something strange when using the products. Then also reliability, having 70 plus years of building instant water heaters, I think by this time a lot of problems have been solved. And also, if you think we have had more than 30 years of experience in the South African market where these units have been installed, to be honest, the life expectancy of these units are actually incredible. So with our units, they do come with a 2-year warranty on manufacturing defects as well. So to ease you slightly on that part as well. Sorry, just have a point. Pressure. Oh, okay. So we'll see we have a question on the pressure reducer. We will get to that on the installation side. So I'll get back to that question. Thank you, Elijah. Ilya, sorry, I really have to put my glasses on. Just back to the summary then. So 2 years of warranty on manufacturing defects, and all spares are available for our products. I know usually when it comes to importers of products, it's usually a pain to try and get spares, but we do keep spares for all products, even up to 10 years after they have been discontinued. And then coming back on the life, so possibility of more than 10 years of life if it was installed correctly. So I just want to open up, if people have questions on the reliability, they can feel free to maybe post them so we can have a look at them. So we can have a look at them as we have some time in this presentation as well. So I'm just going to give you, let's say, a minute to maybe type some questions, if you feel free to, if you wish.
Sorry, Neil, we do have just one question. I'm not too sure if it's about reliability, though. Do you mind if I ask you the question now?
Feel free to ask.
Okay, so the question is this type of water heating unit not going to cultivate or promote the likelihood of Legionella to form or breed due to the high temperature in the system?
Okay, yes, so good question. We're also going to get to that point, but I think beforehand it is a good thing to answer. So the fact that it is only heating the water as it passes through, there is no standing water at a, let's say, a Legionella specific temperature. So as it passes through, it cannot build up Legionella, because Legionella actually takes time to form. So due to this system, you do not have the issue of any Legionella problems with it, even if you put it on, set it at 42 degrees. So it's not like where you would have a geyser where you would want to put it at 55, 60, 65 to alleviate that issue. So I do hope that does answer the question from Harry.
Perfect. And then the next question is, what are the electrical input requirements? I'm not sure if you'll be answering the questions throughout the session.
Yes, so on that one, I'll answer that one at a bit of a later stage. So I see them coming through. So now I'll definitely answer most of these questions. We'll keep track of them. So thank you everyone who are asking questions. So we'll keep track of them, and then at the end, hopefully we've answered them all. If not, then we'll address them at the end as well then. I just saw one question as well about seeing as it's got a high pressure, do you still need to install it with a PRV? So the big thing is always for a house or a building, you would still need a PRV system, but for the device itself, you do not need a PRV. So I hope that answers that question as well. Yes, so that goes more back to if it's a point of use geyser that you might need the PRV itself. So we'll just go on. So thank you everyone for the questions. Then, oh, sorry, I just want to see. Yes, okay. So just a brief summary of the benefits that were also explained in the video of these units. Now this is more if you would compare to, let's say you have a building that would want to use a centralized heating system. Let's say, for instance, a central heat pump system. So this is the advantages when compared to that. So in initial investment cost, these units do cost a lot less than what a heat pump system would cost, and that takes into account your pipe runs. You need hot water, cold water, hot water metering to get all these points hot water. No maintenance, virtually no maintenance required. Operating expenses are lower. You can install it close to the point of use, so saving on water and energy. The desired temperature can be selected, so you don't have to mix down again. It's a compact design, so it's saving space, so you don't have an issue where you would, let's say, have a geyser that you would need to install somewhere in a bathroom. I mean, these units, you can compare them to the size of a shoebox. And as stated, they have no risk of Legionella. They, when compared to, for instance, a gas instantaneous water heater, these do not need any ventilation. They do not need drip trays, and so no drainage would be required for them. There is no storage heat losses due to the fact that they're instantaneous, and they also, as stated, require cold water pipes only. And then the big advantage is you only pay for the electricity that you use. So no issues where you would have a centralized system over a December period where most occupants aren't there, but everybody still has to pay for the water coming in. So just again on a bit of a description on what was stated in the videos, the good reason to choose an instantaneous water heater is obviously it's a very rapid heat up time, very high efficiency, so all the heat that you're putting in gets converted to hot water and immediately out. So no standing losses, no storage of the water. It's also suitable for hard water conditions. So I know some of you do have, let's say, Northern Cape or high up in Western Cape, you do have quite hard water. So these units are really well placed for them. Also with this unit, as you would have seen in the video itself, it uses technology called bare wire element. So what that is actually, it's a thin wire strands that actually, while they heat up, they also actually vibrate. So that vibration actually breaks off any calcium buildup that could have even taken place in them. So as stated, also virtually maintenance free, long product service life, and very high safety standards in operation, as you know, the IP25 rating. So just a breakdown of that 2i, 3i, 4i technology. So I'm just going to take this little red laser to show a bit more. So the 2i is really entry level of it, and the 2i is basically for, you've got two things that can be used. So you've got the inlet water flow and the inlet water temperature. 3i then has outlet water temperature, and 4i has the electronic valve that can precisely adjust the temperature as needed. So this is especially, I'll show a bit later in applications, a very good thing to be able to have as well. Sorry, now I can't move my slide when that is there. So the unit that we'll be discussing now would be our new range of DCE X Premium. So as you can see, you can imagine this thing the size of a shoebox. So it is nice, pleasing to the eyes, and also very efficient, very small, and can do everything that you almost need it to do. There are limitations, but we will get to that as well. So just on the feature side, obviously I don't want to read you everything that's on here. And also, if you want to take notes, feel free, but I'll also make sure that I'll have a PDF version of this presentation available afterwards that can be shared with you. So if you see this unit, it also has two memory functions. So the husband, wife, everybody likes their own temperature, some hotter, some colder. So you can immediately set them to the point where you wish, and then everybody has their precise temperature. You can also, in certain instances, you might not want it to be able to heat to 60. Let's say there's a child, or it's a reachable place for children to reach, or older people, then you can actually set the maximum temperatures to 43, 50, or 55 to prevent people from tampering with it or scalding themselves with it. And I will also, in the PDF, you'll be able to follow the link. In the presentation is also a link to our website. There you can also see all the products that we have. You can look at the instantaneous water heaters and how they work as well in there. So sorry, this thing is just jumping around. So if you look at the applications for these units, so it can be used for multi-point connections, can be used for basins, showers, baths. Yes, we'll get to the flow rates as well. So it can be used for bath, but please just take into consideration, as was stated in the video, if it's for single phase, you either going to have high temperatures or high flow. So for bath, it will be sufficient, but also for only small baths and not completely filled. So it will take time to fill it, but it will get there. Application for these, for example, are luxury apartments. Let's say, for instance, a bachelor's flat, or somewhere where you would have a shower, a basin, and a kitchen sink. Then this unit can be used for all three of those points. Obviously not simultaneously, but it can suffice the quality and quantity of water that you would need. They're also very well established for hospitals where, for instance, you have that temperature limitations where you would not want, let's say it's a frail care unit, you might not want it to be set at higher temperatures. So then you can fix it to 43 and you know you don't have any issues with it. It also works very well with hotels, so you don't have your rings main system, so you can use it there as a alternative for it. And then also mixed use developments, it works perfectly well there. Commercial properties where you would have, let's say, kitchens or a place where you would need, let's say, bathrooms for the staff or the workers, rather than having massive boilers. You can rather have this that's not standing around all day heating up, and it can actually only supply the hot water when you need it. Nice advantage, as I stated about the 4i technology, is if you consider commercial kitchens. Now I know the standard for commercial kitchens is that the water supplied out of the mixer needs to be at 60. Now I know in a lot of commercial kitchens they actually have massive boilers to make sure that they have sufficient amount of hot water that they actually can keep the water at 60. Now, the nice thing about these units is if you set it to 60 and it's got the electronic mixing valve, then it will ensure that you always have 60 degrees Celsius water coming out of it. So definitely a good application to keep in mind for that. Then if you would, sorry, this thing is jumping around. So on the installation requirements. So if you'd look at Based on this specific on the DCEX 68 Premium, it's the 6 and 8 is for 6 kilowatt or 8 kilowatt. It can be adjusted to either 6 or 8 kilowatt. So yes, it does sound like a lot of power, but we'll get to why it is actually more energy efficient as well. So for this instance, it's a single phase power, so you do not have to have 3-phase for it. You do, however, need a 40 amp circuit breaker for it, and it must be connected directly to the DB. So obviously with a high draw off of power, you cannot just plug it into a wall socket. A wall socket is usually 16 amps, so you would really make some problems if that is the case. We would suggest installing a shutter valve before the device so that you can, if maintenance is required or servicing or you need replacement, you can just shut off the valve and disconnect the unit itself. And as stated before, it can also be installed in a bathroom as it is IP25, but as always, please follow rules and regulations that are in place, as in you cannot install it inside a bath. That is zone 0, and it's just, yes, frowned upon and not the right way of doing it. And then also we do recommend installing it within 5 meters from the draw-off point. If you have to make it run a bit further, you are allowed to. It's not that we say it has to be within 5 meters to keep the warranty or anything like that, but also there are rules and regulations according to SANS how long a dead leg can be. The big reason for installing it within 5 meters is because of the lower flow rates. It might take some time to get to the point, so you don't want people opening the mixer, closing the mixer, opening the mixer, and after a while you get a rush of cold and hot water the whole time. Then a bit more on the nitty-gritty in details for the installation, and again I will make this available so you can have it. And also on our website, the installation manual can be pulled off of it. You do not have to register. You can go onto the product, there is an installation manual, and it does explain everything that needs to be done for the installation. So just a quick overview of it. So do not switch on the power before all air has been removed out of the system. So with any hot water system, first flush it before switching on the power. So you make sure there is no air pockets in it. It does have safety in place for airlocks as well as overheating. So it does have those features, but still on the installation side, keep it install according to the installation manual. It's not a difficult installation as you would see on the manuals, but please follow them and you will not have any problems. We also recommend that you make sure that the power available does not drop below 220 volts. The reason being is because it is a high kilowatt unit. If the voltage drops, then you're not going to get that output from the unit. So if it drops to 200, you might get 6 kilowatt out of an 8 kilowatt unit. And then the client's not going to be very happy about the performance he's getting out of his unit. So please just be aware of that as well. Very nice thing about these units is that they do switch on at 1.5 liters a minute. So you don't need high flow rates to get these units to activate. It's not the same as for when you would have a gas, or in the older days, the old gas or even the old hydraulic instant water heaters needed pressure actually to switch on. With this one, having the electronic flow switch or flow meter on it, it's a lot more precise, so you can use it that way. There is no safety relief valves needed for the unit. The maximum inlet temperature is 70 degrees Celsius, so you can have preheated water flow through it. So for instance, you might have a long run to some place where there's a already existing geyser, and obviously you don't want all that cold water running all the way there, and by the time the hot water comes out, you're already, if you wasted 10, 15, 20 liters. So this can also be used in line for that. We do recommend that a 400 kPa PRV valve is installed in the system itself. I'm just going to take my little red one. So as say with the question, a PRV is still required for the system, but as you know, for a house or any building, a PRV is still required for the installation itself. We do recommend having separate hot and cold tap handles. Part of it is that if it's a low quality mixer with a lever mixer, you might have issues where you have leakage from the cold water, even if it's just on hot. So then you might have issues with the unit. Obviously, please be aware that seeing as the cold water would be split going cold and also split going through the unit itself, you will have pressure losses through the instant water heater, and you just need to balance accordingly for that. So take away the drawing tool so I can move to the next slide. And as with the questions on the electrical part of it. So if you'd have a look at this table, you would see that for the single phase units, the 6 and 8, which is 6 and 8 kilowatt units, we recommend a 6 square millimeter cable that you need and a 40 amp circuit breaker. On the plumbing side, it has a 1/2 inch male connection on it, and we recommend a ball valve as well with it. If you're looking at the 10, 12 kilowatt units, which can work in situations, but if you would consider a normal house or a flat might have 60 amps in total, drawing 50 to 55 amps at a time, you will not really be able to run most other things. So the usual preference would be the 6/8, but also from our side, if you have questions about it, please contact us and we will gladly offer our help with your setup. If you look at some of the other units, this DHC 6L and 8L, they are more on the entry level units. So they have the 2i technology, so they can have the inlet water temperature and the flow rate that they can go with. So with them, we would just, same as above, but we would just recommend that you have a 5 liters per minute flow restrictor before or after the unit to just ensure that you have sufficient or low enough flow rate for the device to actually be able to heat up the water. I'm not really going to discuss it in this presentation, but the 3-phase units are available. So I know household-wise, 3-phase is not really the norm except for Cape Town and commercial properties as well. So in an instance where you have commercial property and 3-phase is available, selecting a 3-phase unit is recommended by us always. So if 3-phase is available, choose a 3-phase unit. You can have a lot more water draw off flow rates and also temperature wise, as well as when it comes to the electrical side on balancing the phases as well. Then, sorry, just want to go to the next slide. So next one. Okay, so on this, I just want to run you through the performance of the unit. So I know these flow rates might seem quite low for normal 9 liters per minute shower heads, but in the market, as you might be aware of, there are lower flow rate shower heads available, which range from 4 to 6, 7 liters a minute. So we still recommend installing it with such flow shower heads, seeing as they are designed for it, so they do aerate the water, so you don't have that issue where you just have a dripping of water. You actually still have spray and have the premium feeling of the water going through it. So if you look at this system then, just want to grab my spotlight again. So if you'd, let's for instance take the 8 kilowatt unit. If you look at using inlet temperature of 20 degrees Celsius and you would like a shower temperature and just also keep in mind that 43 is counted as scalding temperature. So that's where you don't really want to be in the water anymore. So for 8 kilowatt unit at 20 degrees Celsius inlet water and you want 42 degrees Celsius out, the flow rate would be 5.2 liters per minute, which is still perfectly sufficient for a shower. if you would, let's say for instance, want to fill a bath, then you're looking at 50 degrees Celsius to allow for obviously the cooling of the bath while filling it. And then you're looking at about 3.8 liters per minute. So just in summary, a low flow will equal a higher temperature, and a higher power equals higher temperature. As you would see, a 12 kilowatt at 42 degrees Celsius can give you 7.8 liters per minute. As stated with a bath, if you would want to fill a 120 liter bath halfway at 50 degrees Celsius, taking this into account, then you'd wait about 15 minutes. So yes, it is some time, but we all know if you're filling a bath, you do usually walk around, do other things while waiting for it. The benefits obviously of the system is you don't have any of the standing losses that you might have for a geyser. Also, if you do not want to do all these calculations, there is a formula on our formula calculator on our website as well. I'll maybe at the end just show you where it is on our website, and it's also got a few other calculations that you might want to use on a daily basis as well without having to pull out the calculator as well. So I just want to go to the next one. So then the big question we always get is, how can an 8 kilowatt instant water heater be efficient? I mean, if you think it's 8 kilowatt, and where a geyser would have a 3 kilowatt element. So it's 8 kilowatt, it has to consume more power. But as stated in the video, it only uses it when it is needed and not the whole time. So I'm hopefully not going to bore you. I will run through this and try and explain it as briefly as possible. But let's consider this consumption of electrical consumption of a regular 150 liter geyser compared to an instant water heater. So let's assume that somebody is having a 6-minute shower, of which the flow rate of at 60 coming out of, let's say, the geyser is 2.5 liters a minute. Mixing that with cold water at 20 degrees Celsius, that will give you a mixed flow rate of 5 liters a minute at 40 degrees Celsius. That would mean that in that 6 minutes, you use 15 liters of water at 60. So if it's the geyser or the instant water heater, both have to replace that 15 liters of 60 degrees Celsius water. So they're both going to consume that amount of power. So I'm not going to bore you with the equations or try and scare you with them. But if you'd look at the equation, so you've got your energy as your flow, your density, your heat for water, and then your difference in temperature. So if you plug all these above things in, you would get about plus minus 0.7 kilowatt hours of power required to heat up the water. Now that would be the same for the instant water heater as well as the geyser. Whereas you can see a geyser with 3 kilowatt element would take approximately 14 minutes to reheat that water that it lost, where the instantaneous water heater uses that power immediately and then it is done with it. So if you take now in consideration a new B-rated geyser will use approximately 1.3 kilowatt hours per day of standing losses. So of just keeping the water at that set 60 degrees Celsius. So then what you can see is a 150 liter geyser would consume 2 kilowatt hours per day. So that would include the 0.7 that was now used with the heating of the water, as well as the 1.3 kilowatt of standing losses, where instant water heater would use 0.7. So in an instance like this, yes, it is for, let's say, a bachelor's flat, one person staying there, you're using almost 3 times less power per day. So that is basically why an instantaneous water is more efficient when it comes to these sort of scenarios where you have 1, 2, 3 people staying in a place and not constant draw off of water. So just on the product side, so we have the single phase, the basic, as explained earlier, where you need the 5 liters per minute flow restrictor. It's the low cost option, still premium quality though. It requires the flow restrictor and it's got 3 maximum temperature settings. The DCX Premium is the one that we went through now, whereas the 4i technology, the electronic flow valve in it, it gets multifunctions and precise temperature selection. So with this unit, if you want 38.5 degrees Celsius, you can get precisely 38.5 out of it. Or for instance, a commercial kitchen, if you want exactly 60, you can get exactly 60 out of the unit. And then the 3-phase, you get your premium and your basic, also 3i, 4i technology, so depending on the applications. So this one is more ideal if, well, 3-phase is available. You can run multiple points at the same time. So let's say, instance, a shower or 2 showers and a basin, or a shower and perhaps filling a bath, and as well as then, as stated, commercial kitchens is also ideal for it. Then just a summary before we get to the questions. So on safety, as we stated, no SANS 151 required, no TP valve, no vented mixer, no relief valve, no drip tray, rated to 1000 kPa, it cannot heat past 60, so it's not a boiler, and it can be installed in a bathroom. On reliability side, there's no anode, little to no calcium buildup, maintenance free, more than 70 years of building these units, more than 30 years in the market, 2-year warranty on any manufacturing defects. Spares are available for all products and possible 10 plus years of life. Then on the installation side, 3.5 to 6 liters per minute, 40 amp circuit breaker, connected directly to the DB, 6 square mil cable, installed within 5 meters, 400, 600 kPa PRV, whichever you would decide, shutter valve before it, and remember to flush the system before power. And as a final note, although the instantaneous water heaters, they can alleviate a lot of the installation headaches that you might currently have when it comes to at point of use units, please also remember to also always follow relevant standards and any local authorities. And as the manufacturer, as I stated, you're welcome to call us for more guidance or assistance on such installations, or if you have any questions other than that. And also, final note, Stiebel Eltron is a proud member of IOPSA. So now we're going to go to the questions part, which I've looked up, and we've got quite a few questions. So if you can give me just 2 minutes so I can just run through them. I'm also going to read them off, Karim, and then we can answer them as follows. So if you can just give me a minute, please. Karim, yes, I'm just running through the questions. I will be with everyone within 40 seconds. Let's make it 40 seconds. You guys can count me.
Would you like me to read out the questions for you?
I've got a list. I got it just drew up for me on the questions that we might need. I'm just going to run through the questions now. So we had a question. I just want to see if it's in order as well. So we had a question on the mixer tap. So if you need a mixer tap, or can you use one? So yes, you can use a mixer tap. The big thing is then obviously where we just say, as long as it's a good quality, that should not be a problem. Or what we can maybe do, Karim, because I'm not sure if everybody can see the questions though. I'm not sure. Or can we only see the questions?
No, it's only us that can see the questions.
Oh, okay. All right. So maybe run through the questions. You can ask it and then I can answer it. And I have my list here in front of me as well then.
100%. Okay, so the first question is, would a generator be okay to run it in the event of load shedding?
Okay, so on the generator question, it is difficult depending on what size of the generator. If it's a big one where, let's say, you have a 10 kVA generator, then yes. But in most instances, I think you have about 3.5, 5 kVA generators. So unfortunately, load shedding, no. You would have to wait for it to be done with. The advantage is the moment load shedding is over, you immediately have hot water.
Okay, thanks. And then the next question is, can you use a closed pressure reducing valve? In other words, a pressure regulating valve with no overflow.
Yes, so all that you would need, I just want to go to that one. So the PRV, so you do not need an overflow for this unit. So only a PRV is required.
Okay, and then the next question is about the entry-level price per unit. 4i price on unit, where do we purchase your units?
Okay, so yeah, thank you. I've actually forgot to put that into the presentation. So from our side, we have selected sales partners that we go through depending on where you are located. We are busy updating them onto our website so that guys would be able to see who's in their close or the close proximity to them. But to give you a few, we've got Plumlink, Plummet, OnTap, House of Plumbing, CPMB, and I hope I'm not missing someone, otherwise I'm in trouble. But yes, we do have a few. If you have questions where to buy them, feel free to contact us. According to prices, we have recommended prices, but the ideal would be is to just perhaps go onto the websites of our sales partners and to just have a look at the prices that they offer there. So we're talking about on the entry levels, you're talking about 2,600 Rand on ex-VAT on the entry level units, and about just below 6,000 Rand for the most premium one on the single phase units. And the three phase, it ranges from 4,000 to 8,000 Rand, all excluding VAT in this case. So yeah, they do have a range, but for precise ones, please just have a look on the guys' websites or get in contact with them as well for to see what prices they have to offer for them.
Okay, thank you. And then the next question is, what is the pressure reduction on the hot water line? Surely the higher the setting, the lower the flow rate and the lower the pressure. Your cold is still at the 400 kPa, but the hot will still be lower, which is unbalanced.
Yes, so when it comes to the balance part, that's why I said as well, you need to make sure that you need to balance the system as stated correctly. If the flow is lower, there is going to be less of a pressure drop through the unit. But it is a bit difficult seeing as you're using where you would have for Geyser, you don't have those pressure losses. So it will just have to be taken into account that you will need to balance it slightly. When it comes to the mixes that you would use, we haven't had issues where people complain that they're only getting cold or they're only getting hot water. So it would just be, usually it ends up the end user balances it with the mixer itself. I hope that does answer it. If there are more questions, feel free to please contact us and we can also run through a bit in that in more detail.
Okay, thank you. And then the next question is, what about COCs through PIRB?
Okay, so COCs, you just obviously have to communicate with PIRB and IOPSA, but as it is not required to go according to SANS 151, as always, as stated in the presentation, please follow all rules and regulations that are still for normal plumbing use. So still dead legs apply. This just alleviates the problem where you'd need TP valves and drip trays and overflow needed for them. So they can be installed and you can get a COC for them if they're installed in the manner which they are intended for, and all other plumbing installations are per the standards as well.
Okay, and then the next question is an isolator required?
So on the isolator side, yes, you would need an isolator in the line, obviously as close as possible to the unit. So that's why I stated if it is installed in a bathroom, the isolator would need to be, sorry, my colleagues are showing things. The isolator also needs to be IP25 rated. I know this presentation might be a lot to take in with new things that might be needed. As said, we will share it as well. So isolator can be installed in, let's say, for instance, in the bathroom or someplace. You can install it in the roof or a small trap door as well on the isolator side. So I hope I can answer some of the questions, but again, if the people asking these questions, if I cannot answer them completely for you, please feel free to contact us as well. I just want to go to the next slide so people can actually just see our contact details as well for it. So I hope that does answer it.
Okay, thank you. And then the next question is, what is the max inlet temperature for this unit if I use it as a preheater?
So the max for this unit is 7 degrees Celsius. So it is perfectly fine for geysers. If it's, for instance, being used for a solar system, it just needs to ensure that the water comes through it at below 70. If it goes over 70, it would be able to cope with it. It's just going to trip the unit out. So if that happens, it's just going to trip it out, and you just have to reset the unit on the reset switch.
Okay, perfect. And then just one last question for the session. Is it SABS approved?
So with the SABS question, when it comes to this one, seeing as it's not the 151 standard, you'll see on the one presentation I said it's SANS and IEC standard. So that is the same standard across the board. So with this instance where we have an LOA for the product from NRCS, you can gladly install them and you won't have any issues with regards to COCs because they're not authorized to be sold. So they are authorized to be sold. They have LOAs. If it comes to an installation and people are querying it, we can always supply you with a certificate number and everything to assist with it. But you can feel free to install them as they have the letter of authority from the NRCS.
Okay, thank you very much, Neil, for this informative session.
I just wanted, sorry, Karim, I just wanted to, there was one question about just the Legionella that was asked about the frail care unit. So on that question, the gentleman asked about the Legionella. So just to explain it briefly again, because there is no storage of the unit, no heating happens place, or no hot water is kept inside the unit. Because it has storage, it's about 200 milliliters of water in the unit. So all that water is dispensed off very quickly. So you don't have that issue where there is any chance for buildup of any Legionella in the system. And it doesn't heat after it switches off. So all that hot water is already out of the unit and replaced then with normal cold water. So I think, well, that's it from my side. I hope so it was informative for everyone. And yeah, I really hope everybody can keep strong during this time and that we all come out of this better than we went into. So, and also thanks for everybody for participating.